Hey, hey, hey. Y'all coming? Happy Warrior Wednesday. Hey, hey, hey. Hi. Hi, y'all. I see you guys. Happy Wednesday before Thanksgiving, Warrior Wednesday. I'm so excited. I have so many DM questions that you guys sent in. Hey, Mr. TJ Hale. How you doing? Hi, Miss Sharon Newport. Hey, everybody. Happy pre-Thanksgiving. I was actually supposed to be home for Thanksgiving, but because of the CDC recommendation, I stayed here in Los Angeles, so I'm going to be missing my mom. So, Mama Stu, you better be on live soon. And I hope I'm looking okay, y'all. I just got done doing my hair. Hi, William Miller. Hi, E. Blair. What's up, bro? And I was just talking to Yvonne Orji. Do you guys know Yvonne Orji? She plays Molly on Insecure. She also has a show, a stand-up called Mama, I Made It, where she goes back to Nigeria and everything on HBO. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. But I was just talking to her. She just got back from Dubai, and she's going to come and say hi on Warrior Wednesdays, one of these Wednesdays. So we're going to hold Yvonne to it. So hello. Welcome to Warrior Wednesdays. Okay. You guys know how I feel about Dr. Cindy M. Duke, our warrior doctor here on Wednesdays. She is John Hopkins trained. She is Yale trained. She is the founder and the medical director of the Nevada Fertility Clinic. She is a virologist. She's delivering babies during COVID. She's keeping us safe, and she has answers to, look at all this, all y'all's questions that you sent my way. Mama Stu's in the building. Everybody give some hearts to Mama Stu. I see her here. So without further ado, I'm going to just bring the doctor on, okay? Because I know we got holiday cooking to do. We got stuff to do. And I want to make sure that you have all of this information. You get your questions answered. Sorry. And you can cook your turkey safely. So let me find you Dr. Cindy M. Duke, y'all. Let's see. Let me get her. Uh-oh, hold on. That might have been my technical difficulty. Y'all don't talk about me. Hey, you guys. Hi. Okay, here we go. It's age, okay? With age comes wisdom and glasses. Uh-oh, it says unable to join, Dr. Duke. If you can do me a favor and maybe log off and log back on, and then I'll come back and see if I can get you. And you guys, if you didn't already DM me a question, or if you didn't see a response from me, there we go. Now I see her. Then please put it in the question box here for Doug. It's a Thanksgiving episode. Okay, she's coming. Here she comes. Here comes the doctor.
Hello.
Warrior doctor. You guys, and when she comes, I need you to give her a lot of hearts
myself.
and a lot of claps and all those good things. So it's telling me that she's connecting.
Not hearing anything.
See, this is what happens with fertility too. It's like you're crossing fingers, you're crossing toes, you're hoping for that connection. We're waiting. Hi, Roger. Somebody says, I miss my voice. Can we bring it back? Well, there was a reunion on Entertainment Weekly's site.
Can you
so go
hear
see
me?
that. We did it during the COVID, and you can see a My Voice reunion there on entertainmentweekly.com. I am still waiting for the lady of the hour. She is seen. Do you guys see her? Because I don't see her. Do you guys see her? Let me know.
Hi, everybody.
Give me a thumbs up if you see Dr. Duke, because for some reason, I don't see her. It says unable to join. Okay, that's all right, because we ain't going to let the devil get us. Okay? The devil is not going to try me. Not today. All right, here we go. Another time. Go live with Dr. Cindy M. Duke. It's waiting for her. You guys see her? There you hey!
There we are. We made it work. Oh my goodness.
Just when I said the devil was going to try me, not today.
Not today.
Hi.
Happy Wednesday. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Happy Warrior Wednesday. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I think one of your friends, Shakita Lockley, is on here. I think I just saw her come up
hey,
there.
Shakita.
Yes. For you guys that don't know, Shakita was on Warrior Wednesday yesterday. She did a documentary called Eggs Over Easy Film, which I was honored to be a part of. And
Mm-hmm.
you and Shakita know each other as well. And, you know,
Yes.
she just had a myomectomy.
Yes.
And so she is here. So hi, Shakita. We love you. But
Hey,
how are
Shakira.
you?
I'm good. I'm good. You know, it's the day before Thanksgiving. It's, aside from my birthday, my favorite time of year, from
Yeah, yeah.
Thanksgiving through January. So I'm excited. I mean, we just did decorations at the office today, and it's great.
It's fun times. Well, good. You look beautiful. You guys
Thank
give her some
you.
hearts and some claps because you are my warrior doctor, like whether you know it or not. You know it. But
Well,
you
thank
are my
you.
warrior doctor because we love you so much. And Shakita's saying, hey, ladies, hey, girl. If you guys
Hey,
have any
girl.
questions, put it in the question box there. Look at all this. I got pages of questions for you that
I'm
were
ready.
already DM'd to me. And so I want to like get into it. And I know one of the things that we always like, you know, talk about in terms of conception. So there is a young lady that DM'd me that says that, let's see here. Is there anything that can be done naturally
hmm
to help with poor egg quality? Is there anything
hmm
that can be done naturally to help with poor egg quality?
Yeah. You know, that's the panacea of questions because there's not a whole lot that we can do. But, you know, the word natural, I like to caveat it. There are steps you can take at home to try to at least improve egg quality a little bit, but to prevent it from getting worse. And so that would be looking at your diet, looking at the things you store your foods in, like plastics, looking at your pots and pans that you cook in. If you're not cooking your own food, then you really want to investigate what the people who are cooking your food use, because we do know that there are a number of environmental toxins that can have negative impacts on your fertility when it comes to the person with ovaries, negative impacts on your egg quality, but also on sperm quality for the person who's
Ooh.
making sperm.
Yes.
Yes,
Can we get
yes.
into that? Because I was lucky enough to see a talk that you did on
Mhm.
one of your shows with Dr. Carolyn Kircho,
Yes.
and you talked about plastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, I really want you to hear this because you told a story, and I would love for you to retell it here
Mhm.
about a young woman that did a couple of retrievals that you did for her, changed her
Yes.
diet, and then it turned out
Mhm.
that it was something in her environment
Correct.
that was making her eggs not healthy.
Yeah.
And so can
And
you tell that story about the plastic?
we've had a number of patients with stories like this, which is they go through egg retrieval. So they're typically people with diminished or poor ovarian reserve, so low egg numbers, with which also comes poor egg quality many times. Because if you think about it, think of your ovaries as being a bucket, right? When the bucket's full, you've got your pick of what's in there. When the numbers drop, then what you have to choose from in terms of quality is also limited. And
Mm-hmm.
so with diminished ovarian reserve often comes poor egg quality in many, many different ways. And so again, you know, as women, we're born with all of our eggs. We're not really making new ones. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
found to have diminished ovarian reserve, there's not much else we can do to make more eggs in terms of changing the quantity, but we can really try to hone in on boosting the quality as best we can. And so there are lots of data in terms of studies done, studies looking at different populations that show that certain things in our environment negatively impact our egg quality and the health of our ovaries. And so that includes ingredients they use to make plastics. And so things like phthalates, BPA, also known as bisphenol A, those are some of the ingredients that really are known to be what we call endocrine disruptors, meaning when they get into your system, they interact with your hormonal system, your ovary being a major hormonal organ, and
Mm-hmm.
it can disrupt the messaging, which is what hormones are. They're chemical messengers that talk to all the different cells in your body, your most precious if you're desiring fertility, being your eggs, because they're the
Mm-hmm.
most precious fertility cells in your body. And so we know that if someone were to change a lot of what they do in terms of their diet, in terms of how they store their water, etc., that can improve the quality of their eggs by decreasing the amount of exposure that your eggs or sperm have to these disruptors. And so, we talk to people about that. We talk to people about staying hydrated. We talk about the benefits of antioxidants in your diet. So again, natural boosting of your quality of eggs would mean including things like coenzyme Q10, which is an antioxidant.
Ooh,
Eating
I don't even
foods,
know that one.
yeah. So
Write this down.
CoQ10,
Say that one more time for me.
so CO,
Uh-huh.
letter Q, number 10, CoQ10.
CoQ10.
It's an antioxidant. A lot of people use it for skin health, heart health, brain health. Well, we have a number of studies that have looked at CoQ10 in doses around 400 to 600 milligrams per day. This is an over-the-counter supplement, by the way, that shows that it boosts quality of eggs, probably most specifically via energy use and production and protecting DNA species or oxygen species.
Okay.
Another thing would be if you have diminished ovarian reserve, and this is important, you shouldn't be taking this if you have PCOS. There's something called DHEA. DHEA can play a really important role in egg quality improvement in somebody who has poor egg numbers. Now, it doesn't help if you have PCOS, and that's because you typically already have high DHEA. And so it's really important for someone not to really self-diagnose themselves here, but go in, get the testing done. The least you can do is ask the questions, which is, what's my ovarian reserve? So that means going in to get an AMH test done. AMH.
Yes. Now that's what I got done when I first froze my egg. So the AMH is the anti-Müllerian hormone, correct?
Exactly, correct.
And that comes from your pituitary gland.
No, that one is made by your ovaries. So that's what's nice about AMH. Yeah. AMH is the only hormone other than estrogen and progesterone, but AMH is a hormone being made by your ovaries. I like to say, think of it as being made by your egg sitters, right? It's like if you left your baby at home with a babysitter and you wanted to call in to see how the babies are doing, you're going to want to hear their messaging. Well, AMH is a hormone that's made in your ovaries by the cells which have been taking care of those eggs ever since they formed. And so it's a really good readout of how many potential eggs are remaining. And so it's good to start there.
Good to start with your AMH levels. And can you also explain, and that is a blood test, you guys.
Correct.
So that is a blood test that you can get.
And you can do it any time of your cycle, any day in the month.
Any time of your cycle and any age, because even though we know our fertility is diminishing all the time, we don't make more eggs. We're born with as many that we're ever going to have. But one of the things that I found very interesting is that I really didn't know what my AMH was until I was 37. I didn't even know that existed. Or my FSH. Can you tell us what our follicle stimulating hormone is?
Yes. So FSH is made in your pituitary gland, and it's follicle stimulating hormone. Think of follicles as egg houses. That's where the eggs live. So although they're microscopic, they live in those follicles. So FSH is how your brain talks to the egg house to say, hey, it's time for us to recruit some eggs to do something this month.
Okay, so the AMH is the egg sitter. The FSH is the one knocking on the door.
Exactly.
That's saying, can you come outside and play?
Exactly. Okay. So when you have a lot of eggs, your brain doesn't have to make a whole lot of FSH to talk to the ovary. And so FSH, caveat being, it rises in natural cycles. Your FSH goes up starting on your third day of your period, and it peaks just before ovulation. So it's really important, if we're going to measure your FSH, that we measure it at day 2 and no later than day 3 of your cycle. And that's because what we're looking for is to figure out, is it high or is it low? Specifically, we're looking for 12 is our initial cutoff. If it's under 12, that's usually a healthy ovary, good ovarian reserve, we presume.
Under 12, we presume.
You've got a good ovarian reserve.
Okay.
If it's over 12, between 12 and 20, we're starting to get worried because it means the ovary is having to talk a little bit louder. Sorry, the brain, pituitary, is having to shout a little bit louder for the ovaries to hear.
To do it. Oh,
exactly.
Okay.
Over 20, we're extremely worried. And if it's at 40, 2 months in a row, we're worried that you've entered menopause, meaning the eggs are gone and the brain is screaming at the ovaries. Ovaries aren't responding.
Okay. So you guys, I hope that everyone wrote that down because that's really good information. And I know I have questions here, but I did see something that even I want to know. How soon after making adjustments to the type of plastic does egg quality typically or possibly improve?
At this point, we're seeing somewhere between 3 months or 90 days to 6 months minimum, meaning if you're going to make these changes, it's a sustained lifestyle change. So you're changing your storage containers. If you're someone who typically microwaves food in styrofoam, plastic, etc., we say stop doing that. Instead, use glass or ceramic containers and stuff for microwaving.
That is key. I never knew that. And because you mentioned diet, can you also say a couple of foods to stay away from? Is it sugar? Is it, white processed? Can you give us a couple of hints?
We strongly encourage staying away from processed sugar or added sugar as much as possible. But if you're someone who's really going to be discriminating about which sugar versus not, then definitely the white bleached processed sugars you want to avoid. You're doing more of the brown demerara sugars, okay. But really, the goal is to just take out your added sugars. So you're taking out your added sugar, which is sucrose, added fructose, which is anything that's an oats that was added to your food. It doesn't need to be in there, right?
Anything that's an oats that was added to
it shouldn't be. Get rid of it. Similarly, in your ingredients, when you're looking at your sources of your ingredients, so what we know is for a lot of us, we're meat eaters. In this country, a lot of our animals are grown in very contained spaces, meaning they're at risk of infecting each other with different bacteria and organisms. And so as part of their grain, they're fed antibiotics, particularly before they head to slaughter. Because certainly if there's an infection, you've heard the recalls, et cetera, everything gets recalled. So they give them antibiotics. What's interesting is a lot of antibiotics which are used in animals act as hormones or endocrine disruptors in our own bodies.
Y'all?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll be a vegetarian after tomorrow.
Well, no, or we say at least, start asking questions about your food. Like, when you hear about grass-fed or hormone-free, antibiotic-free, have you noticed whenever you go to Chipotle, they're very specific in pointing out that their food is hormone-free, antibiotic-free?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that
is for a reason. That's part of it. I grew up raising chickens of my own. So I'm speaking from experience here.
Tell them where you grew up, Dr.
I grew up in Tobago in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And so, growing up, a chicken, if you got chicks, it'll take somewhere around 12 weeks for a hatchling to get to a grown chicken, right? In the United States, in a lot of our commercial farms, chickens are fully adult size by 6 weeks. Why do you think that happens? It's hormones. And many times they're getting hormones to help them grow to that size.
And then we are ingesting that.
We're ingesting that, and our body has to do something about it. So it's either we're passing it out in our stool, our sweat, our urine, or it's going into different cells and impacting us in one way or another. And so what we say is, just emphasize, not necessarily if you can cut back, we encourage everyone to cut back red meat intake because we know it can be pro-inflammatory, meaning your immune response has to respond to these things it hasn't seen before. So if you cut back on those things, it helps with your general inflammation in your body. So we call it an anti-inflammatory diet. And we recommend that for anybody who's struggling with fertility, anyone struggling with fibroids, anyone struggling with endometriosis, anybody struggling with autoimmune disease, autoimmune thyroid, Hashimoto's. We say start looking at your food before other things. You should be doing other things. But one of the things you should hone in on is your food. That's something you control. The quality of the food you control. Grow as much as you can if you can, grow, because even our herbs, etc., many times, if you're not sure where they're coming from, they're being grown with pesticides and a number of other things, which again, in our bodies, they're chemicals, they're messengers.
And there's something that you said that was very, very like poignant that I heard when you just use those are the things that are within our control.
Exactly.
You know, because when we're in a fertility journey, a lot of the things that we feel and a lot of the reasons that we suffer in silence, people with ovaries and people with sperm, is because we feel out of control. We feel like we don't have the answers as the patient's laying there. We don't know what to do. So I'm really glad that you said that, because ladies and gents, you know, just so you know, there are things that are within our control.
Exactly.
And that not just helps our body, but our mind, our spirits as we as we go through this. So I'm going to move on to another question. Okay. You did just say menopause. I'm going to ask two questions. I'm going to ask one from Mama Stu. She's going to get mad at me. But I'm going to ask one that was DM'd me first, which was, does menopause aid in shrinking fibroids? I've never heard this, but does it aid in shrinking fibroids, menopause?
It does. Yes.
Wow.
So we actually tell people, you know, if you can get to menopause, many of your symptoms related to your fibroids and your endometriosis will go away as your ovaries go to sleep. And that's because both endometriosis and fibroids, they're fed by estrogen. Yes, and that's being made in your ovaries. So yes, it's not uncommon for women to describe their symptoms getting better with menopause. Now, there's some for whom it doesn't get better, and that's because they're either on things that are causing them to still have a fairly high level of estrogen in their body, or just general body shape. We happen to know that other than your ovaries, fat cells in our body make estrogen. And so, you know, we do have an obesity epidemic in the United States, which is over 50% of our population is overweight. We also have quite a few people who are bordering into, you know, different categories of obesity. And so the more body fat percentage you have, the more estrogen you're making independent of your ovaries.
Wow.
And so, yes, which is why things like endometrial cancer or uterine cancer are elevated in women who are over a certain weight or body fat content, even if they've gone into menopause.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes,
All right. So we heard some answers to y'all's questions. So I have more. Okay. So discuss some options about male infertility. Wait. Before, let me go back. Eric, can y'all rewind with me? Mama Stu, are you here? She's gonna be mad because we talked about menopause. I'm gonna talk about you, girl. You're gonna still answer your phone when I call you mama, but this is really interesting. So my mom has a sciatic back problem.
Yes.
And she's had several surgeries to get that taken care of. And she goes to physical therapy religiously. She takes care of herself. Good. I won't tell her age, but so one of her doctors suggested medical marijuana.
Yeah.
And suggested for her pain to keep her pain threshold down. Now, this is muscular pain I'm talking about, you guys, to keep that down. And she was very, very hesitant. My mom is not that girl.
No, and especially her generation. Marijuana only meant one thing. You were a pothead.
Right? Yes. So I happened to be in Philly when she got this call. And I said, Mommy, listen, we're going to make sure that you get, because we don't want her to stay on narcotics all the time after all of that. So she decided to go ahead and try it. Yes. And it was hysterical. But when she woke up the next morning, I said, well, how do you feel? She said, well, I don't know about my back pain, but those hot flashes went away. And because she took one toke, the hot flashes went away. Is that a remedy for hot flashes?
We think so, but I have to be honest, not much research has been done yet on THC. Now, we know the cannabinoids, which are one of the active ingredients that you can find in marijuana and hemp-like products, do work on our regulatory system when it comes to temperature regulation and also pain sensors, right? We know that our own bodies make cannabinoids and different types of neurotransmitters separate from what we're getting from these plants. And so I could see that helping. The bigger question is it going to be lasting? Your mom would not be the first person I've heard say that. I've heard people talk about using medical marijuana, for example, to help with sleep issues, to help with mood disturbance. I hesitate to say it's the cure-all to everything, because that seems to be the new direction where people are going. But I do think it definitely helps with chronic pain syndromes, and it certainly helps people to relax, which means you sleep better, and so your thermal regulation could change as well. I could see that happening.
Interesting. Well, she's not, she's not an active user. She's still got the generational thing. But here we go. So can we discuss a little bit about male infertility? This is from someone that's emotionally healing from going through infertility between a husband and a wife. And there's a lot of emotions in that with couples, people that are trying, and we understand that. But can we discuss a little bit about male infertility?
Yes, and we need to talk about this because it's the elephant in the room. The truth is, especially in communities of color, in immigrant communities, there is a reluctance to speak of men as any way possible having infertility. Yet we know that if you took a couple, 50% of the time, we will find an issue with both the woman and the man. If we took a heterosexual couple that's trying to conceive, half of the time, it's something going on with her and him. And so what that means is if you're engaging a fertility clinic to get treatments, if you're about to spend money to get treatment, why not spend the $100 or $125 to get him checked out? That's all, to save you thousands before you find out he needed to have some help.
You guys give her clap hands, because this is information that
it's a big deal.
It's a huge deal, and it's an amazing point that you're making, because what happens when a heterosexual couple is trying and it's not working, immediately, oftentimes the women wear the shame, the blame. I have even heard, this is going to make you so angry, but I have even heard someone I love and respect say to me, well, I want to date younger because I don't want to have to pay for IVF.
Yes.
This is a man talking about, but it's like, do you even know what's going on? Yeah,
exactly.
It's a misconception.
No, it's a huge misconception. There's the belief, which in part is true, which is men can make sperm for their entire lifetime. That is true. But it would be very incorrect to assume that he's making healthy sperm the whole time. There are a few things that we know. We know that as a guy ages, the amount of sperm that he makes declines. We know that the quality of his sperm declines. In so much as we emphasize age of the egg as being the biggest determinant for chromosomal differences like Down syndrome, etc., we also know that older sperm can also contribute to these things. We know older sperm can contribute to learning issues as well. And so it's really important to talk about it. But here's the biggest reason why we talk about it. Remember at the start of this conversation, I kept saying, we don't make new eggs?
Yes.
I can't help you make more. Well, if a guy is having issues with his sperm and he's not making a lot of sperm, more often than not, we can help him make more. So wouldn't you like to know if he has that issue so we can actually give him 1 tablet a day or 1 shot twice a week so he can make more sperm?
So wait a second. Okay. So you can help someone that makes sperm make better sperm.
Absolutely. Hands down.
You guys,
if sperm issues are things like concentration, amount of sperm, etc., we can investigate to see why. We can help. In the United States, for a lot of guys, especially with the macho gym culture, which isn't a bad thing, a lot of guys end up taking testosterone and other hormonal supplements to boost their stamina, boost how they look, and that unfortunately can have negative impacts on his testicles. His testicles can stop working. And so it's important to have someone talk to him. And, if it turns out he's on a supplement that's doing that, we want to tell him stop. We may need to give him something to jumpstart the system, but it's super important. Yes, Shay knew we can. And so it's really important. And a semen analysis at most, I think in the most costly market in the United States is like $175. Wouldn't you want to test that first?
I fully want to know. I want to know now. So would you recommend, if there are heterosexual couples trying, or someone that might be using a friend's sperm, what's the first thing that you recommend them do is get the semen analysis done, because that is the cheaper thing first?
I would say semen analysis and AMH. Those are your two things that you should be getting. So, like, for example, at my clinic, once a year, we run a promotion where anybody in town can come in and get an AMH drawn for a limited price. If it's a same-sex male couple, they can both come get their semen analysis done for the cost of one. If it's a same-sex female couple, they can both come in and get their AMH tested for the cost of one. Yes.
This is at the Nevada Fertility Clinic,
Institute.
I'm sorry, Nevada Fertility Institute.
It's important for us to highlight, guys, because we have someone who uses our name similarly as well as of January. They're Nevada Fertility and a different name. We're Institute.
I see. Okay, yes. Nevada Fertility Institute.
We're the Institute.
Yes. So you guys have a special. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we run a special every year. Usually it's leading up to Infertility Awareness Week in April. But even if it wasn't during that time, a lot of insurances will cover those basic assessments, meaning they'll cover the blood test. Some of them cover semen analysis, most don't. But like I said, even if they didn't cover, we're talking 2 months of lattes. If you drink your latte, maybe you and him can not drink lattes for 2 months and get his semen analysis done for $125, $150, $175. Answers given,
That is amazing. Somebody just wrote here, Dr. Duke is amazing. Yes, she is. Nevada Fertility Institute. I want you guys to look it up online and follow. And don't worry, because I'm going to be doing a whole lot more with Dr. Duke. But that is really good information that we need to know.
It's very good. And no one should sit on this. I mean, I see so many women, especially Black women, immigrant women, coming in. They're like, I just want to get checked out first. I just want to get checked out first, because he's reluctant. He's reluctant. There's so much we can do. I have couples where all we ended up doing was treating him, and they conceived. Right?
See?
And they conceived.
See? Yeah. Oh,
very
Kelly
important.
Jenrette is here. Actress Kelly Jenrette. She said she has an appointment set for December 9th with Dr.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, Kelly. Yes, it's really important for us to have these conversations. When you're out with your friends, you're at brunch, you're having that chit chat during Corona, and you're like, I miss you, I can't see you, but still say, girl, go get your test done.
Yeah.
It's the most empowering thing you can do.
And that's why Warrior Wednesdays is so great, because it helps us not suffer in silence. Videos like this get shared. Hopefully on Thanksgiving, somebody will be sending this to their sister, their friend, their brother, their uncle, because this information is so valuable. And that's why we thank you so much for your time and your effort. And so I'm going to keep the party rolling, you guys, because I know you guys sent in some questions. There is somebody that wants to know about, now this is a lot of things. So, and I really want to take the time to make sure I get what she sent correctly. Hi, Nichelle from Her Normal. If you guys have not, Nichelle Polson from Her Normal, make sure that you go ahead and follow her. She is fantastic. And she just does all things woman power journalist. She's amazing. You know Nichelle, don't you?
I do.
Yes, she's amazing. So I am just going to go ahead and read this. This is someone that is high risk, 49 years old, and still wants a baby.
Yes.
Was told wouldn't be able to conceive because eggs are not viable and too old. Scar tissue from a miscarriage that happened. Got pregnant on her own 4 years ago, miscarried after 8 weeks, and has scar tissue. And one of the fallopian tubes has the scar tissue. So essentially, she feels she only has one. Was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, but has been in remission for 16 years. Was also diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 9 years ago, but does not take medication for that. I know this is a lot of information. Only takes Synthroid daily, that is for the thyroid. Is there anything that she can do besides pray, and we are praying for you and with you, that can increase her fertility, whether it be holistically or progressive medications? She desperately wants a child, and we want one for her.
I want one for her. I'm going to be honest. The chances of a child with her own egg isn't super high. So let's just talk about natural fertility for a minute, because it's important for us to talk about this. You know, we talked about women being born with all of their eggs. I'm here to tell you that by the time you're 30 years old, 70% of the eggs you were born with are gone. They're gone. It has nothing to do with how well you eat, how well you care for yourself, how fly you look, how well preserved you look. Those eggs are gone. By 40, 97% of those eggs are gone. So that means between 30 and 40, 27% of the eggs you're born with go away during those 10 years. And to make it even more stark, by the time we're 44, a 44-year-old egg, and it's important, I'm talking about the age of the egg. If you're 44, but you're using eggs that you froze when you were 32, this doesn't apply to you. But if you're 44 and now using eggs from your ovary at 44, your chance of a live-born baby is less than 5%. Less than 5%. It's really low. Moreover, in order to get to that chance of a live-born baby, you need 20-something plus viable eggs to have a chance to meet sperm. So the chances are lower. By the time we're 47, chance of a live-born baby that doesn't have chromosomal issues like Down syndrome is down to 2% or less. And so I'm not saying this to sound scary. I'm saying this to be honest about the truth about our ovaries. I say this as a 42-year-old woman myself. But what I would tell you is you can use eggs from a younger woman. And so while I'm saying at 49, chance of a pregnancy from your own egg is probably closer to 1 to 2%. So it's not zero. I concede it's not zero. And we have patients who are 49 who've had a baby from their eggs at 49. But the truth is, the best chance for pregnancy in someone who's 45 and older does become when you take it from someone younger. So that's called donor egg. Donor egg is very well defined in the United States. We've been doing it now for 36 years. The oldest child born from egg donation is 36. There are no cases of regrets or people being angry that they were born from donor egg. It's not like that at all. You can do it anonymously. You can do it such that it's up to you to tell your child whether or not you had to borrow an egg from someone younger. And you can do it until you're well into your 50s. You can do it well into your 50s. And so it's really important to know that. So while, yes, pregnancy is still possible despite multiple sclerosis, which is an autoimmune disease, despite history of thyroid cancer and now being on thyroid medications, no big deal. We do that all the time. You can still do it despite having a blocked fallopian tube. The truth is, if you're using donor egg, the tubes do not matter. You don't need tubes. You do not need tubes. As a matter of fact, you don't have to do a whole lot of anything. You just order your eggs. They're shipped to the clinic. You can live in Alaska and ship your eggs to my clinic. We will put them together with sperm, create your baby. You fly in for your transfer. You come into Vegas for 2 days. Nobody knows why you're here. And you're pregnant, right?
Well, listen. I'm gonna tell you right now, live and in charge, because I froze my eggs when I was in my 30s. But and they're here in LA, but they will be shipped to you at the Nevada Fertility Institute.
I like it.
Will be putting that in there. And Nichelle says her bestie donated her eggs 3 times, and I also want to say to this young woman here, as we touch and agree with you here on Warrior Wednesdays, because that's what this is about. Is that you can also look at one of our previous episodes. We had Camille Gualdi, who is a friend of mine, an actress, who used a donor egg after several failed IVF trials. And her whole story is on one of my Warrior Wednesdays. I think it was 2 Wednesdays ago. So look that up. And she also did an article in People Magazine. So I think that that's a great thing to take away that shame from using donation eggs. It's a wonderful tool.
It's wonderful.
It's a wonderful blessing.
You can choose a donor that has the same blood type. You choose a donor who looks just like you. Like there's just the opportunities and availability. Let me tell you guys, right? In the United States, we're all hesitant. People are flying in from other countries to the US to use our egg donors.
I mean, listen, and I see my mom going, wow, we are blessed. And I really think that one of the things that really hit me, to this young woman and to people with ovaries and people with sperm out there is that one of the things my mom said to me, and she's in her 70s, is these things were not available for her when she was coming up, and she was just so full of joy, mainly because I was taking this into my own control, my power. Take your power back. And know that there are options. So everything that you see is a roadblock, is a redirect. Yes. And that's how we have to think of it. People say, are there a lot of African American donors available?
I wouldn't say a lot, but there's a lot to choose from. There's also ongoing recruitment, meaning young women are always volunteering. So I shouldn't say volunteering because they're compensated. And so donors do it willingly. A donor has to go through selective processes, etc. It's safe. It's regulated by the Food and Drug Administration. You know, it's very transparent, the process, because we have to be. And so you can feel assured about that as well. You know, there are people who travel from the United States to, say, Barbados to do that as well. And so it's very well established now.
And I know a lot of people are asking about cost, and I think it does vary.
It varies, but if you're using frozen donor egg, it's the same cost in the end as you would have spent for one IVF using your own eggs.
For one IVF, which is somewhere in the 14-ish.
Yeah, 14. So you can purchase 6 eggs for like $14,000. You're not having to buy the medications for IVF because that's already done. If you wanted to do testing, you're spending for that. But then, you know, you're not, for most people, they're spending about at most $20K.
And most like $20K.
Yeah.
And you
so
guys,
it's an investment. But
it is an investment, but the way that we go on vacations, and I see somebody saying, is this for the rich and the wealthy? But this is the thing, it's an investment in your future. Yes. I took out a new credit card and I put my whole egg freeze on that. The same way that we go to baby showers, to wedding showers, and spend hundreds of dollars. Throw yourself an egg shower. Register yourself at paypal.com. The people that love you will come and help support this mission. If this is what you want, don't let money be the thing that stops you from figuring out how to get it.
Because and let me tell you, the majority of my patients, for example, at my clinic, they're not wealthy. They're people who are making median household income in Las Vegas, which is what, $56,000. I would tell you, like Kile just said, people spend for what they want, right? They set their priorities. And yes, there are payment plans, there are financing options, there are family options, there are now grants out there. And hear this, there are insurances that cover even donor egg. There are insurances that cover donor egg.
This is, you guys, can you all please give her hearts and eggs and all of the wonderful things, because this is invaluable information. And I see Michelle is out here making sure everybody hears everything that they need to know. But I also, so I have a question about fallopian tubes, and then I have a question about vitamin D as it relates to fibroids. So with fallopian tubes, Warrior Wednesday question. I recently had HSG to check my fallopian tubes. One showed blockage and the other did not appear at all. The doctor explained it could be a spasm at the time of testing or proximal blockage.
Proximal blockage, yes.
That's what I meant.
Proximal blockage.
I haven't been sleeping, y'all. I've been writing this. I've been writing this fertility movie. Are there any tests to confirm if there is blockage? Are there ways to unblock the tube?
Short answer is yes. Not every surgeon does it anymore, but there's a special procedure. It's laparoscopy with chromotubation is considered the gold standard for evaluating the fallopian tubes. So that is a procedure where you're asleep. The doctor goes in through your belly button with a camera. They're injecting dye through your womb while you're asleep. And so you can assess it then. Some doctors, like myself, have special equipment that we then use to unblock the tube if we can, particularly in a proximal occlusion, that proximal blockage, we can. I can tell you right now, I have 4 patients who are pregnant in their first trimester. I'm tooting the horn here. Yay, Thanksgiving.
Thank you for those pregnancies.
Yes, and all 4 are patients who came to me with blocked tubes. I did surgeries. One is pregnant with twins. Another one She's pregnant after 11 years of traveling the country and being told a number of things. And we did IUI for both of them, but that's because if I unblock your tubes, there's a chance it can scar back. So my goal is if I unblock you within 2 weeks, we're starting IUI and we're working to get that baby in there. If the tube's open, we're not waiting around for it to
So once you do that unblock, you're like, come on, baby, let's
do
let's
it.
Get this done.
Dr. Duke's got to look good. I'm teasing. No, it's so you can have your baby.
They're putting a bunch of hands up for you. Congratulations on those pregnancies.
Yes, Dr. We're very thankful for them.
Yes, and she's at the Nevada Fertility Institute. Everybody,
correct.
Look her up, Dr. Cindy M. Duke. She's our warrior doctor. And I did want to ask you about vitamin D.
Yes.
As it relates to fibroids, is there a connection? Is there a treatment for it? Does it make them increase? Does it shrink them? Is there a relationship there?
Well, there's been a number of what we call associated data. So not firm data, but what we see is women with vitamin D deficiency also tend to have more fibroids. Now, the caveat here is we know that Black women have more fibroids. We also know that many Black women on initial studies that were looking at how the vitamin D assays worked were found to have low vitamin D levels. And then we discovered that the assay, the test for vitamin D, wasn't specific to women of color, to Black women. So that was one of the first caveats where we were like, is this real? Is it not? But I will tell you this. We know that vitamin D, first of all, disclaimer everybody, vitamin D is not a vitamin. It's actually a hormone. It's actually a hormone. It's a hormone made under our skin. It's made when you're out exposed to direct sunlight without sunblock on for 20 to 30 minutes, 3 times a week. And so it's actually a hormone. And why am I pointing that out? It's important because vitamin D plays a role in your ovaries. It plays a role in sperm tail production. So vitamin D is important not just for women, but for men.
Yes, for that tail. Okay.
Because
that's what directs it. It's got to get somewhere.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so, yes, we test vitamin D levels. The majority of fertility doctors check vitamin D now because we know it plays roles, important roles in the pre-fertility time, meaning preconception time. But biggest thing is, and even your mom knows about this, vitamin D deficiency while you're pregnant can lead to your baby being born with really bad bones, or what we call rickets, right? And so in everyday parlance now, people don't know about rickets, but in the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, in other countries, rickets was a really big disease that can impact children. They're born with really bad bone deformities because mom was low on vitamin D. Nowadays, we have vitamin D in our foods, in our fruits, in our milk. In the United States, vitamin D is put in there so that we get it. But it's really important.
Wow. Okay, well, we have... If I didn't get to your questions, you guys, Dr. Duke, you will be back. I will
be back. I'm available.
Yeah, so that we will do more because I don't want to keep you too long. But I do see some questions here in our chat. So let's look and see what we have. Oh, well, this is for you. Someone wants to know, how can I become a new patient?
Hi, Anna. Well, it's actually easy. And I see patients via telemedicine. You know, right now with COVID, we can see patients via telemedicine anywhere in the United States. So if you go to fertilitynevada.com/contact, you can put in a patient request. I guess I could type it here too, right?
I think so. You might be able to put it in the comment section, and then I can also add it because we always download these, guys. We paste it to my feed, and that way you can share it, and then thousands of people get to see all of this stuff. Oh, there, you put it, fertilitynevada.com/contact, just so you guys see that. Okay, and let me see if there is another question. If you guys have a question, put it in there now because we are almost at that time. Let's see here.
She Too Nice is asking, here we go. Can women out of the U.S. country send their eggs? Right now, because of the way the FDA has structured things, it's not really possible for us to bring eggs into the U.S. Now, there are people from the United States who go to other countries to do donor egg, absolutely. But at the moment, we're not, because the FDA is so strict and because they actually have to visit these clinics and inspect them. You know, we get a spot inspection once a year. We don't know they're coming. They show up and they go through everything, the paperwork, the lab, our records, our testing. It's really, really well regulated. I have to be honest with everyone here in that you can feel confident that your government is taking your fertility carefully. And let me be honest here. Ask yourself, what other disease state in the United States is regulated the way fertility is, right?
With
we
the
have
CDC,
to report the CDC. Yes, we have to report our success rates every year.
You guys need to hear
don't
that
have to say that.
And they need to hear that because the fertility industry is the only medical industry, am I correct, that has to report their success rates to the CDC.
Absolutely.
Fertility is the only one,
That's
it, which is beneficial for patients in a way, because if a clinic is claiming certain success rates, you can actually do some research to see if what they're claiming is correct. So that's really
I have
important
patients who are like, how come you never put your success rates on your website? It's because it's actually illegal. We are not allowed to do that. So, you know, I can come out here and you notice I'm talking about good rates. I'll tell you what rates are per patient, but I'm not here telling you Nevada Fertility Institute has this or has that, because it probably would have ended up being a wild west of you people being just inundated with come over here, we're 100% or this. But it's also because the CDC, our governing societies like the Society for Assisted Reproductive Technology, SART, all recognize that while fertility, we have standard procedures that we do, each patient, each couple, it's different. And so what might work really well for you, Kalei, may not work really well for me, may not work really well for Anime. And so it's also important that everyone who's listening here, remember that. What is good for your friend, what is good for your sister, what is good for your twin sister might not be what you need.
That's key, you guys. So that it really means that we have to be responsible for our own bodies, our own spirit in that, and how we move forward. And I see, let me see here. I have, let's see here. What should we ask our doctor for those outside of the U.S. when we want to freeze our eggs? And I think basically we can just do 2 more questions, you guys, because I see Shay Nunu is my best friend, so that's Sharon. We're going to answer yours, Sharon. But I think basically, what should somebody, when they're looking to go into fertility clinic or to get some treatments, what are the basic things they should look for or ask for? I know we talked about AMH and a semen analysis.
Absolutely, and fallopian tubes. So I tell people, right, to create a baby, you need 3 main ingredients. You need sperm, you need egg, and you need a place for them to meet in your body. Now, everybody knows babies grow in the womb. That's a given. But that is not where they start. They actually start in the fallopian tubes. And so that's why we need to do your test for your fallopian tube, which is a dye test or a hysterosalpingogram. So what I say to patients is, if your primary care doctor can order those tests for you, especially if you're someone who's spending out of pocket, then it's great if maybe they can order it through the insurance you have if it doesn't cover fertility. Then when you come into your first visit with a fertility doctor like myself, I'm able to give you so much more information in that first visit. If you haven't had any of those tests done, then in your first visit, you're coming in, I'm asking you about your family history. I'm asking you about your own sexual history. I'm asking about infections like gonorrhea, chlamydia, not to be judgmental, but because we know those are the 2 most common infections that can block your tubes. So that's why we ask you that. It's not because we're trying to sex shame you. It's not because we're trying to call you out in front of your partner. We're not doing that. We're asking because it gives us a sense of whether or not your tubes may be compromised. Yes. So, you know, that's also the reason why if someone has a gonorrhea or chlamydia infection in the United States, it's reported to the CDC. It's not because your doctor is being mean. It's not because your doctor is trying to shame you in any way. It's because it is a requirement, because that's how the CDC also tracks our fertility. And if you guys are like, really, our fertility? Well, yes, a country is only as good as its future fertility. They want to make
Wow.
sure people can have
Yeah.
babies, right?
Yeah.
Social Security only works if more of us make babies.
Exactly.
You know.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yes, and so, but that's why we're asking you those questions. So that's what happens in your first visit is the doctor's going to ask you about your sexual health. They're going to ask you about your frequency of intercourse. They're going to ask your partner things like, do you have premature ejaculation? Are you able to ejaculate completely? It's not because the doctor is just trying to get too detailed. It's actually information we use to help you. And so that's what's going to happen. Now, if you're someone going in for egg freezing, then the conversation is a little bit different. If you're going in for egg freezing, they will draw your AMH. They will ask you a little bit about your general history to know whether or not there are certain genetic risk factors to keep in mind. And lastly, they're going to go ahead and tell you about how egg freezing works. What you need to do is ask big questions. So your big questions aren't whether they can freeze your eggs. Trust me, any clinic in the world can freeze an egg. What you want to know is what's their success at thawing the eggs, how many thawed eggs make it to babies, how many patients, and most importantly, you need to ask them, based on your age, how many eggs would be a safe number to freeze? Because, if you're 22 and you froze 5 to 7 eggs, I'm going to be pretty happy. But if you're 35 and you froze 5 to 7 eggs, I'm going to be telling you, listen, let's do another cycle.
Let's do it
gotta
again.
go again. And that's because the older eggs don't perform in the same way when it comes to starting a pregnancy.
All right. You guys, y'all better give her some claps. And you see all these questions, Dr.
I know, this is amazing.
I can't keep up with this. I know Sharon said something about hormone disruptors in the environment, cookware, plastics, and we talked about that a little bit, about how not to heat your food up in plastic.
Yes, don't.
And don't do that. Motility versus morphology.
So that's sperm. So motility is how the sperm moves. Ideally, sperm needs to move forward, right? Because if you have intercourse and ejaculation occurs, it needs to move from the cervix, the vagina, up through the womb and into the fallopian tubes. I would tell you guys this: if a guy is smoking marijuana, his motility becomes hyperactive and it actually can damage his sperm quality. And so if he's super fertile, that doesn't make a big difference. But if this is a guy that already has borderline sperm and he's smoking marijuana, the biggest thing he can do is decrease his THC intake. So not just smoking, if he's doing edible, if he's doing wax, you guys are like, wow, Dr. Duke knows for marijuana. Well, yes, here in Vegas, patients try everything. So
they try it all.
Yeah,
that is so interesting.
I have guys who would tell me, well, I don't smoke, but they're either edible or they're using some other form of THC intake. And either way, it negatively impacts sperm quality. So if he's someone with borderline sperm, smoking marijuana can decrease his fertility, his sperm quality by up to 30%. That's a huge drop.
Wow.
Huge drop.
Wow. That priceless information.
Yes.
People are saying to me here, she needs to come back. Yes, this is not her first time, child. She has been here several times. She is the Warrior Wednesday doctor. I don't speak to any other fertility specialist. Let me keep it very, very real. So you guys, I don't know, you know how much I adore you.
Thank you.
Listen, it is the day before Thanksgiving. We are not going to keep you, but what we are going to say, and you guys, I need you to help me put a bunch of red hearts up for Dr. Duke and thank her for being with us today on this beautiful hour. I want to thank you. I will ask you again, as I always do, will you come back and see us on a Warrior Wednesday?
Absolutely will. Can I do a Thanksgiving PSA?
Yes,
please. I
please.
know not as many of us are going to be around family this Thanksgiving as years prior, but however you choose to meet this year, Thanksgiving is a perfect time to get your family history, right? It's a great time to talk about family history. Find out things like, are there people who've had children who died? Find a nice way to talk about it, obviously. But also, if you have family members who've been married for a while and you don't see a baby, please don't stress them out by saying things like, why aren't you pregnant? Where's the baby? Or, the big stressor that we talked about, which is families saying, well, it's got to be her if she's married into the family, because in our family, we're fertile, so it can't be him. those things are really painful. As Meghan Markle shared this morning, well, the Duchess shared this morning,
yes,
and our hearts go out to her and Prince Harry over the loss. I think it's really important for us to ask each other, are you okay? It's been a rough year. It's been a rough year.
It has been a rough year, and wow, I see, there I go getting emotional again. But see, that's what you be doing, Dr. D.
Sorry,
but
we need to.
I'm grateful. Now you guys can really see why I have this beautiful relationship with Dr. Cindy Duke, because it's mind, body, and spirit. And we need to always be reminded to stay focused on the things and the people that matter. We need to give love, like you said, as the Duchess let the world know today. She suffered a great loss, and what that feels like. And we have to do an episode of Warrior Wednesdays on miscarriage, because I do get a lot of DMs about miscarriage. And I want to echo what you said about being mindful when you're asking, where's the baby? Even for me as a woman that froze their eggs, a lot of people ask me what I'm going to do with my eggs, or they try to tell me what they think I should do with my eggs. And it's almost like when two people get married, and the first question they're asked after they say I do is, when's the baby coming?
Where's the baby?
I froze my eggs to take the pressure off, not to put it on. And so we have to be mindful that your fertility story, you guys, is yours.
Yes.
Don't let anybody else tell you your fertility journey. That is between you, your body, your mind, your spirit, and if you have a partner or whoever you collectively want to bring into that space. So keep it sacred and keep it dear. And as Dr. Duke said, ask your loved ones, are you okay?
Are you okay?
I think that's what we can give our family and our friends, and even a stranger.
Yes.
Even someone we don't know. That's what we can give, and that's what we take is the message of this episode is, are you okay? And Dr. Duke, are you okay?
I'm doing okay. But thank you for asking. I think, it shows a lot when people ask, are you okay? Because it suggests that they care that I'm around still.
I care. We care. And that's why we put all those hearts. And not just because you give us so much information, but because you share your heart, your soul, and your spirit with us. As much as you give us all of this incredible medical information, what we feel, and I know you guys can echo this with hearts, is your spirit. And it is just full of joy. So I'm glad you're okay, and we're here for you if you are ever not okay on a certain day.
Thank you.
We love you.
Are you okay?
I am okay. I got to talk to you. We're going to do so much more work, and I'm okay because I'm part of this community. That's what makes me okay. So
this
thank you for being
amazing.
you.
Yes, thank you.
So much more to do. Thank you, guys. Put hearts up. We love you. Have a safe holiday. Stay safe. Thank you, Dr. Duke. Till next time.
Till next time.
All righty. Take care.
Bye.